Mystic Path to Cosmic Power by Vernon Howard. Chapter 15. Daily Power Along the Mystic Path. This chapter is specially designed to aid you in making the most of this book, of the Mystic Path, and of yourself. You have a right to know the truth that sets you free, but you must courageously claim this right and not timidly hand it over to someone else. For you to know, you must know. You will then also know what it means to be secure and serene. There are some special challenges faced by the man or woman wanting to escape to the awakened life. If understood, everything goes much smoother. For one thing, you may have to work alone a good part of the time. You may have no one with whom you can discuss things. Never mind. Even that is part of your adventure. Just keep working as best you can. The higher the hurdle, the higher your leap. You will find none of the self-glory offered by worldly success. Our whole task is the exact opposite, to destroy the agonizing need for self-worship. You may not win public applause, but what you win will be 10,000 times more glittering, and it lasts for eternity. Do everything you can to help yourself. What wonderful opportunities surround you. Go through your day with inner reflections about mystical principles. Observe yourself as often as possible. Establish a regular reading program. Remember your aim of inner transformation. Remind yourself that there is a fantastically new way to live. Be good-humored toward everything that happens to you. Yes, you can be cheerful even when things look cheerless. Take the attitude, "It is my heroic adventure to call the bluff on this negativity." Apply this to every difficulty: fear of poverty, anxiety toward yourself, confusion of mind, everything whatsoever. If you ever feel bogged down in your studies, just remind yourself that it is possible for you to become an entirely different person, that you can reverse the direction of your life this very day. No fact is more important to think about than this. And it is just the beginning. The best is yet to come. Let go. Don't hesitate to just let go, even if it frightens you for now. Do not think, or plan, or contrive on the inner affairs of life. Leave your mental plannings where they belong, in the external matters of home and office. Let your inner life flow naturally and easily. It will carry every external affair along with it, leaving you carefree. He who lives in the true light and true love has the most precious, best, and worthiest life that ever was or ever will be. Therefore, it cannot but be loved and treasured above any other life. Theologia Germanica. Your special plans. Use this section to win extra enrichment from your reading and studying. Certain ideas and techniques of the mystic path are sure to have special meaning for you. Write them down in the blank spaces provided, noting the page where found. It deepens your understanding to state a mystical truth in your own words. For example, you read that life is governed by a number of beneficial laws and principles. You can write, "I am aided by harmonizing with the basic principles of life." Review your comments from time to time. Forming a Mystic Path study group or Mystic Council. Few things are more beneficial than the sharing of mystical principles with others. We learn so much from each other. Quite often, a single remark from a friend transfers their insight to our own mind, making a new advance for us. We, in turn, aid their development. Also, there is comfort and encouragement in being with those who, like us, are determined to find the answers to life. They help us see that we are not alone in the quest, that others also feel the urgent need for something better than glittering but empty packages offered us by the world. You may wish to join or organize a Mystic Path study group or Mystic Council. In my own work in Los Angeles, I have found certain procedures of value. Some as follows. Forming the group. The group can have its start within an established organization, perhaps a church, or educational institution, or psychological clinic. Or an entirely new organization can be established within a community. Encouraging facts. Before proceeding to more methods, ponder this. Healing truth should be allowed to arrive in its own time and manner. All should have a quiet spirit of welcome. It is as if the officers of a great king announced that the honored monarch would be visiting one of the villages. Because the citizens loved their king, they set aside their usual duties to await the royal visitor. His arrival gave everyone new cheer and strength. See a study group as a place to welcome noble impressions. Time and place. The group can meet in a home, clubhouse, church, wherever most convenient. Small gatherings in the home of a member can produce fine results. Weekly meetings at 8 p.m. are standard. The program. The leader can give a talk on some special feature of the mystic path, one he has studied in particular. He might discuss its practical application to everyday living, or he could explain the esoteric meaning of love. The talk should be of moderate length, perhaps 15 or 20 minutes, followed by answers to questions. As a third phase, the leader can open and direct the meeting in a general discussion. The purpose. Everything must concentrate upon the great purpose, individual inner change into the new life. Knowledge of mystical facts must turn into living experiences. Outlooks and actions must be transformed. There must be an awakening to a new consciousness. This requires constant patience with others and with ourselves. It takes personal and persistent receptivity to what we do not presently perceive. Vital questions and answers. Question. Why do the objects of my happiness cease to satisfy after a few days or weeks? Answer. Because you cannot be happy with something. You can only be happy. When your happiness has an object, whether a person or a worldly goal, it is an insincere flirtation that always wears off. True happiness has no object. Does sunshine need an object to shine upon in order to be warm? No. Sunshine is. Happiness is. Question. I want to walk the mystic path, but wonder whether I have enough courage. Answer. Start with what little you have. It will grow. It takes courage to realize that you can no longer live in the old way, especially when you cannot, as yet, see that a new way exists. It wonderfully exists, but you must walk the royal road without demanding the security of foreknowledge. Question. Please supply an example of how unawareness causes grief. Answer. Never sacrifice your integrity to another in order to get something from him or her. It is completely unnecessary. Once you clearly see that you are sacrificing yourself, you will stop. Question. How does mysticism connect with modern psychology? Answer. Mysticism includes psychology, but goes far beyond it. As an example of their blending, take hatred. Both urge us not to suppress or fear our hatreds, but expose them to the purifying light of awareness. This is called growth into mental maturity by psychology. Mysticism says it is a fine step upward toward love. Question. I want to give these principles to my children. How can I best proceed? Answer. What an opportunity you have for doing them good. Center your teaching, but especially your example, around a few basic principles. Teach them self-responsibility. Show them there is nothing to fear. Encourage them in the old-fashioned virtues of honesty, decency, simplicity. Repeatedly point out that they need not be defeated by anyone or anything. Teach all this as the grand fact of life that it certainly is. Question. What does the mystic path say about human immorality? Answer. The basic immorality is refusal of truth, to insist upon living from the false self. All human immorality springs from this. Most people connect immorality with observable faults or with sex. But the terrible immoralities are the cunning ones hiding behind masks of morality, such as exploiting people while pretending to help them. Question. The mystic path says we must cease to invent emotional excitements. Won't life become boring? Answer. It will become the exact opposite. You will have genuine excitement that won't swing over to boredom, as is now the case. This new kind of excitement cannot be described, but you can experience it for yourself. Question: why don't your lectures on mysticism include psychic phenomena like telepathy and flying saucers? Answer: if a man suffers from heartache, what difference does it make whether flying saucers exist or not? Let's stick to the point. People are always looking for miracles. The great miracle is a changed life. Question: mysticism says that the birth of the new self cuts us free from guilt and shame of past follies. How? Answer: you clearly see that the follies were committed by a confused and foolish self who was not the real you. Question: what qualification do we need for teaching mystical principles to others? Answer: it might be helpful to really know what we are talking about. Otherwise, we are like a man without an airplane who invites his friends for a ride in the sky. Question: what is the very heart of successful human relations? Answer: through honest self-observation, we see ourselves as we really are. That enables us to see others as they really are, not as we want them to be. This psychological insight enables us to deal wisely with others. For instance, we will not extend affection to those whose psychic slumber makes them incapable of understanding it. Such people will assume that our affection is weakness, and they scorn it. Question: you said that the natural love, the true self, is within everyone. Why doesn't it express itself? Answer: it cannot do so because the individual fears rejection, or because he wrongly prefers hostility, or because his ego defenses are so high. Question: can't we just leave our psychic wounds to the healing of time? Answer: time of itself doesn't heal. Your mind must see things differently. By using your mind properly, you can leave a painful experience behind you at once, with no emotional wounds whatsoever. Think what this means. Question: how can I become a more self-aware person? Answer: just sit down in a quiet place and watch yourself. Notice the thoughts that stream through your mind. Observe your emotional moods. Be aware of your physical posture. Notice whether you are tense or relaxed. Just be alert to everything possible, including the fluttering of a drape or the sound of a passing car. Be aware of everything within you and without. Also, practice this while performing everyday tasks in the home or office. Question: why do you place so much emphasis on self-observation? Answer: because of where it takes you. You can get to the place where you are no longer involved in inner or exterior disturbances. You will merely observe them, just as if they were happening to someone else. Question: can I end my nervousness? Answer: by understanding one of the most subtle of all fears. It is so cunning that few people ever destroy it through conscious awareness. It is the fear of nothing happening. We become nervous when we feel that we should be accomplishing something, but don't know what it is. So we usually invent foolish activities. Don't be afraid of nothing happening in your life. What peace it brings. Question: I get upset every day over things that happen. How can I prevent this endless distress? Answer: we never get upset over what happens. Never. We get upset because of preconceived ideas as to what we think should happen, what we want to happen. When our preference clashes with the reality, we get hurt. Rid yourself of all preconceived ideas as to what should happen. You are then at peace, whatever happens. Work with this mystical truth. Question: what if a man has his own ideas about life and personally disagrees with the principles of mysticism? Answer: it is not a question of personal agreement or disagreement. The only question in the whole wide world is whether or not he wants to be a whole and a happy human being. Your personal viewpoints cannot achieve this. Only the truth can set us free, and truth is not a matter of personal viewpoint. Question: you said that a hypnotized man has no real choice to live as he wants. It seems to me that most people live the way they really want. Answer: a man living from his false self can only choose between two negativities. For example, to show his anger, or to hide it. But he cannot choose not to be angry in the first place. Can a hawk choose to behave either as a hawk or as a dove? No. He must behave inwardly according to his present negative nature, though he may disguise it from others. Incidentally, the self-discovered man also has no choice, but in a different way. There is nothing to choose between. When you are really happy, need you choose between happiness and unhappiness? Question. Please explain human cruelty. Answer. It is characterized by two features. First, a cruel person gets a strange sort of exhilaration, a false sense of power, by hurting another. Secondly, he doesn't see how cruelty destroys his psychic self. If he saw cruelty as self-ruin, he would stop in horror. All evil, including cruelty, is unconscious. It is done in a hypnotic state of unawareness. Question. What is the cause and cure of social miseries like war, and crime, and political hypocrisy? Answer. The cause is personal psychic illness, which means every individual must take personal responsibility for his recovery. But how many want to do this? They prefer to treat symptoms, not causes. Hypnotized people prefer ego-serving activities, such as making lofty speeches and championing social causes. A small-town grocery clerk in Maine or Nebraska with a personally pure life diffuses more psychic health than 1,000 politicians or laws. Question. Suppose I do something that hurts someone. From the mystical viewpoint, how should I handle it? Answer. By not falling into ego-centered guilt or shame. This only doubles the problem. Try to see that your hurtful behavior sprang from the false self, which takes unhealthy pleasure in hurting others. Don't identify with the behavior. Dissociate your behavior from your true self, which cannot hurt anyone. Question. I need clearer understanding of what is meant by non-awareness. Answer. You are seated in a restaurant having dinner. A friend approaches from behind and taps you on the shoulder. You jump a mile. You jump because, while in your self-absorbed thoughts, you are unaware of anything outside those thoughts. The sudden tap on the shoulder exploded your mind away from self-centeredness. As awareness expands, all your senses are more alert. Question. Why do you emphasize that we must work intensely upon ourselves before hiring to help others? Answer. If there are two sick people in a hospital room, neither can help the other get well. If one recovers, he can pass on his own health in service to the other. Enormous harm is done by ill people who think they can heal others. Their attempts are merely an evasion of their own need for health. If you tell them this, they get angry. Question. I'm very much interested in the idea that we are free of anything that we don't identify with, that we don't take as a permanent attachment. Answer. You should be. If you don't identify with youth, you will enjoy older years. When you refuse to identify with your career, you will be completely unconcerned if it falls apart. If you don't identify with crowds, it is impossible to ever be lonely. Don't identify with food, and you remain as slender as a reed. Question. Why does sex cause so many problems? Answer. Sex never causes problems. It is compulsions and imaginations and false guilt that do damage. When there is a clear mind, there are none of these, and so no problems whatsoever. Question. Should we discuss mystical truths with others? Answer. Discuss them only with those who show definite and persistent interest. Don't try to give them to people who don't want them. You can establish or join a mystic path study group with like-minded people. There is considerable value in group discussions. Question. Is it difficult to grasp the principles of the mystic path? Answer. The word difficult has no meaning when you want something badly enough, for example, in studying for a profession. You simply do it to win the prize. In the same way, we must want freedom from tension, genuine confidence, and so on. Then there is no difficulty. As a matter of fact, it becomes a highly enjoyable adventure. Question. Please summarize man's entire problem. Answer. He clings to his false self, which he takes as his life, but which is actually destruction, and he rejects his true self, which he takes as his enemy, but which in reality is his eternal life. Gems along the mystic path. Truth itself is the only unifying factor on earth. We are separated from love with others to the same degree that we are separated from reality. We are in communion with others to the same degree as our closeness to reality. Let nothing stand in your way. You can react toward anything that happens to you in a way that retains your happiness, if you really want your happiness more than anything else. Suffering exposes our fakery. This is good. By exposing our fakery, it provides the opportunity for freeing ourselves from its pain. The process of self-development can be described as the stripping away of layer after layer after layer of all that is false. Go to incredible lengths to save yourself. We do not suffer because we fail to fulfill a false desire. We suffer because we possess the false desire. Try to see how much you are at the mercy of other people's whims and see how intensely you dislike it. This is the first stirring of liberty. Refuse to live like others. You then escape the unhappiness of others. Life is real only when we are. You have succeeded in life when all you really want is only what you really need. When you have nothing to do, become aware of yourself. By discovering yourself in the here and now, you automatically establish yourself in the there and forever. Do not sacrifice long-term benefits for immediate sensations of pleasure. To be chosen, we must choose to be chosen. Unhappiness occurs when a desire for a certain result clashes with what actually results. The one man in a million, the always happy man, is the one who examines his desire rather than the one who blames results. Fear is caused by our insistent clinging to the false self. As we become conscious of this, our fears fade fast. Every time you gain insight into a new truth, you are a bit stronger than before. Here are two sides to the same mystical coin. No one on earth can do you good except yourself. No one can harm you except yourself. Those who endure will be sure of themselves. Nothing can ever take away this certainty. Our suffering is trying to tell us something. The test of genuine spirituality is this: how spiritual can we be without anyone knowing about it? Take the viewpoint that you walk the mystic path to discover what is true and what is not. Don't be discouraged over anything. Turn every difficulty into increased determination for the light. You can walk beyond fear. There is no such thing as sad days or happy days. There are only sad people or happy people. It is a fantastic situation. The only thing that stands between us and buoyant happiness is our own unconscious resistance to it. If the ideas by which we live bring distress, the only sensible thing is to methodically exchange the unworkable principles for effective ones. The two shallow substitutes which people unconsciously take as happiness are activity and acquisitions. Don't postpone happiness. Learn to do what you really want to do, not what you feel compelled to do by inner compulsion or by social custom. Our conscious awareness of these chains frees us at last. Be gentle toward yourself. If we work on ourselves when things go right, we will know what to do when things go wrong. Everything can be different. Self-liberation can begin by getting weary of our mechanical efforts to be good. By sensing the falseness of compulsive goodness, we track down the real thing. Never relax your guard against self-deception. Our aim is to get ourselves out of our own way. Make it your aim in life to be aware of psychic self-imprisonment and to escape it. We cease to suffer when we cease to identify with suffering. One of our greatest enemies is secret resentment. Freedom begins as we become conscious of it. There is no adventure in life as great and as wonderful as discovering the new life. The test as to whether or not you have rejoined your true self as yet is this: you would not exchange it for anything in the world. The mystic path changes your future into what you want it to be. If we really want to know the truth that sets us free, we will be led to the teachers and books of help. You were not meant to be unhappy. At this very moment, we are creating our tomorrow. You never go wrong when you place your true self before your attitudes, and remember, they are two entirely different things. There is something very appealing about decency. To change what you get, you must change who you are. 1 ounce of personal spiritual experience is worth tons of hearing and reading about the experiences of others. Don't be offended by the truth. Love it above all else. Your love will be returned. It is the truth that sets us free.